doctor.
Having studied childhood development for nearly 3 decades, Melodie encourages patients to focus on their baby's most basic milestones for a firmer foundation.
The milestones in sequence is the ability to suckle well, the ability to develop neck control, which leads to rolling over, which leads to sitting, which leads to going on to all fours and crawling, ultimately getting up, and then they cruise around furniture and then they walk. Your ability to learn doesn't start when you're 5 or 6 years old, but it has less to do with books and reading and writing, and it's got everything to do about adjusting to life, because your ability to learn is actually your ability to roll with the punches. What happens in the first year in a baby's life echoes in life. So the crawling and each of the other milestones develop different parts of the brain in sequence. So if a baby skips a milestone, it means we are messing with the wiring of the brain. So less of that. So often people who don't have that much money feel, but my child's being deprived. It's absolutely not. You don't need equipment. You need love, you need your hands, and you need a lot of interaction. Often when we think of a baby's first milestone, we tend to think of rolling or sitting or crawling or walking. Now, the first milestone, the baby's first milestone is the ability to feed comfortably. Because there's such a strong relationship between the touch and the interaction between mom and baby, it has an enormous impact on the emotional development.
Similarly, brain development expert Kobus Neetling believes that the more subtle life lessons you teach your children are the key to unlocking their creativity in the long term.
98% of children 0 to 3 demonstrate creativity at a very, very high level. But as they grow older, this creativity goes down and down and down. And when you're 25 and older, only 2% are still creatively superior. Let me give you an illustration. When the baby is 10 months old and you put the baby down on the floor, the baby would go anywhere, spontaneously. But the mother doesn't know that. So the mother brings the child back to the middle, puts pillows around the child, because the mother can manage the middle. And the more the mother does that in the belief system of the little child, the child starts to believe, maybe it's not good to go out there. So of course, as adults, that's where we are. We anchored there. So something happens to us. We make decisions, we create beliefs about ourselves that in a sense takes our creativity away. The wonderful thing about it is you can regain it. One of the books I wrote, I saw very clearly that at a very young age, a child begins to believe, listen, I'm average, I got 50% for this or that side, which is absolute nonsense. And then you live accordingly. And then you go into this mold that we call ordinary. How do I become a beyonder, where your language is not a problem language, but your language is a possibility language? You ask yourself every Monday morning, what was impossible last week that can become possible this week? This is how the superheroes and super companies, this is how they live. This is how they do their business. What is possible, not what is the problem.
I want to live the best life.